Good afternoon, one and all. Am I audible to everyone? Good afternoon, one and all. On behalf of RC Patel Institute of Pharmacy, myself, Mr. Pradeep S. Patil, would like to welcome you all for today's session on copyright and Creative Commons. I would first of all like to thank our beloved principal, Dr. N.G. Haswani sir, for granting me this opportunity to share with you my views over copyright and Creative Commons. Before I begin, I would just like to tell you what all things we are going to discuss in this session. See, as we all know that lockdown is being eased out slowly and steadily, we might have prepared notes, we might have prepared PowerPoints. Some of us might even be eager to prepare YouTube videos and show our content to everyone. And probably this can be possible if you prepare good content and you will be uploading it on YouTube. We have gone through various webinars and sessions during this whole lockdown period. So we would be quite aware of how you can prepare a video on YouTube and how you can post it. But while doing all these things, it is quite important for us to keep in mind that we do not infringe anybody's copyrights. So what my session would be discussing over here. So basically, I would be telling you about copyrights. What are those? What are Creative Commons, what is copyright infringement, what are the benefits of using Creative Commons material, and how you can search the content on Google as well as YouTube without infringing anyone's copyright, how you can upload the content on YouTube. So I would be discussing all these things in this session. So just we would be beginning with our session now. First of all, I would just like to tell you one story. This story is very important for understanding the different aspects of copyright, Creative Commons, and all these things. The story is about a British photographer, David J. Slater, who was busy clicking images in 2011 and he was searching for images or clicks of crested macaques. That is a very rare species of monkeys that was on the verge of extinction during 2011. So what happened is he was searching for those monkeys. He even tried to befriend few. He wanted certain flicks of those monkeys. So one day he kept his camera in the national park of Indonesia where these monkeys were there, and he was just going somewhere. So he had kept this camera unattended, and during that time, a monkey came. That is a crested macaques, black crested macaques, and he started toying with the camera. And what happened is you can see in these images over here. The monkey, he was having a very great time with the camera. He clicked few selfies, and these selfies basically, when David Slater saw that the monkey has taken the clicks, he was very elated. And he thought that, okay, that's good that the monkey has taken the images. Now I can go and copyright them. I can give it to the people I want. I can gain money out of it. So what he did is he took the images and he went to the Daily Mail and he licensed those images to those guys. And soon Wikimedia Commons. Okay, Wikimedia Commons is a platform which actually accepts the images, the content, the data, which is free, which is in public domain, which does not have any copyright claims. And Wikimedia Commons actually uploaded these images under the heading monkey selfie. That is the selfies that were taken by Celebes crested macaques. So David J. Slater sooner found out that Wikimedia Commons had taken these images. David Slater, he thought that these are my copyrights, these images belong to me, so I must have all the rights reserved with me. So he requested Wikimedia Commons to take down these images. But Wikimedia Commons, what it said is that these images haven't been clicked by you. These images, these aren't clicked by you, but by a monkey. So you don't own any copyright. So what does this indicate? That monkey being a non-human source, obviously he can't have a copyright claim over those images. But at the very same time, the images even don't belong to David Slater. So to whom do these belong? These actually belong to the public domain. The reason behind it is that the images that were clicked were by monkeys, and public domain actually accepts such images which aren't clicked by a particular human being. Over here, it was David Slater. So this got a legal turn when people of ethical treatments to animals, that is PETA, came into action, and they started claiming that the images belong to the monkeys must be given copyright claim. So now Wikimedia Commons, David Slater, and PETA, they all were into a legal fight over here. So what happened is within few days, in around 2017, PETA and David Slater came up to a particular settlement wherein David Slater was told to pay 25% of whatever revenue he got out of these images to the Wildlife Association for the betterment of animals. So the basic reason was PETA, it said that these images they don't belong to you and you're violating the copyright claims of that monkey. So the monkey basically he must be a copyright owner, but the court didn't allow these guys. The reason behind it is that copyright actually must be given to a human source and not to the animals. So in this, we got to know what is public domain, what is copyright, what is free of charge. So basically, moving to the first part, that is copyright. What does copyright mean? Copyright actually it is the exclusive right given by law to the creator to do whatever he wants with it. Copyright owner has all the rights either to reproduce the copyrighted work, he can go for displaying the copyrighted work publicly, he can prepare the derivative works, he can distribute copies, he can do whatever he wants. And in India, if we think about it, the copyright law, what does it say? That this right will belong to a person even beyond his age, that is up to 60 years. So any person who has created something out of his intellectual mind, he can go for copywriting it. See, I am not discussing about patent, I would be discussing basically about copyright. So that is creativity. Copyright, it is creativity. Whatever he has created, that would be copyrighted. The moment he creates something, it can be copyrighted. So anything that comes out of his intellectual ideas, so that can be copyrighted over here. So these are the copyrighted materials. You can see that copyrighted materials include paintings, music, sculptures, writing, drama, photography, any form of art, any form of designs, all these things, these can be included into copyrighted material. Now, when we get to the academics part, we usually we prepare notes, we prepare PowerPoints, we even go for uploading our content on YouTube. So while preparing notes or preparing PowerPoints, or even sometimes while we do our review articles or research papers, what do we do is we go for citing the sources from where we have taken the actual content. The citing is very important. We cite the main authors or the original authors. The basic reason behind it is to thank the authors for the information that they have provided. At the very same time, even you are courteous to the other authors so that they can find out the source of your information. See, if someone wants to get additional knowledge about a particular thing that you have written into your notes or into your PowerPoints, what they can do is they can find out the references from where you have taken it, and they can go for getting some additional information regarding that particular topic. So citing your sources is very important. And during citing also, what we do is either we must go for writing the name of the main author as well as give a reference over there just after you complete your sentences or you complete your paras. But many a times what happens is unintentionally we misuse these sources. How does it happen? It would be termed as unintentional plagiarism. So first one is wrongly paraphrasing. Next one is paraphrasing without citing. and third one is just control C and control V. I will just give you one example of wrongly paraphrasing, how we can make errors into it. See, basically, I would be taking one example of three students, that is Abby, Brian, and Chad over here. So, what was the case over here? They were in school, and their teacher, they had given them a passage, and they had told them to make a particular sentence, or at least write down in it in your own words whatever you have understood. So the original passage was like, still the telephone was only a convenience, permitting Americans to do more casually and with less efforts what they had already been doing, and the original reference was given. So what happened is, we would be moving to the first guy, that is Abby. What he did, he read the content, then he went on for writing it in his own words. But what did he do? He wrote it like this: the telephone was a convenience, enabling Americans to do more casually with less efforts what they had already been doing. Can you just see that? Has he even given the reference, or has he even cited the source over here? No. What he did is, he simply changed one word. That is, he changed the word permitting to enabling, and he wrote down the content as it is. And moreover, he didn't cite from where did he take the main content. He didn't acknowledge the person, acknowledge the main author for whatever information he had provided. So what does this say? Abby intentionally or unintentionally wanted to tell that this work is mine. I have done it. I have found out the main content. I have prepared it in my own words. The reason, because he wasn't showing from where he has taken it. So that would be termed as plagiarism. Then moving to the next part, that is Brian. Brian was somewhat intelligent. So what Brian did is, he first of all thought, okay, now Abby, he hasn't given the name of the main author. He hasn't acknowledged him. So let me acknowledge him first, so that I can save my skin. So Brand wrote it like this: Daniel J. Bruston argues that the telephone was only a convenience, permitting Americans to do more casually and with less efforts what they had already been doing. So what you can see over here, Abby had changed one word. At least he had changed one word. Leave apart the part that he hadn't given the main source from where he had taken. Bran, he thought that okay, Abby didn't give the name of the main author. He didn't acknowledge him. Let me acknowledge him first. So he wrote down the name of the main author, but he didn't change the sources. He didn't change any content that was given over there. He just wrote it as it is. So what does this mean? That Brian simply, he copy pasted the content. He acknowledged the person, no doubt, but simply acknowledging and copy pasting the main content doesn't help you. And moreover, this doesn't lead to using your own brains. Oh yeah. Then was the third guy, Chad. Now Chad, he found out that these two guys have done something wrong, so I must go for improving my content. So what he did is, he first of all acknowledged the person, okay, and then he wrote down the content. Now what you can see over here is that Chad, he has written it very nicely. Just have a look. Daniel J. Bruston has noted that most Americans consider telephone simply a convenience, an instrument that allowed them to do more casually and with less efforts what they had already been doing before. And then later on, he has given the reference number. So what does this indicate? This indicates the way how paraphrasing must be done, how you must acknowledge the person, how you must give the main resource, and how you must give the referencing. So this is the best way how you can go for paraphrasing. The reason behind it is, Chad, he utilized his own ideas, at the very same time keeping the main essence of the topic as it is. He didn't go for changing the main content as such. He utilized his own knowledge. He changed the words, and at the very same time, he even told what Daniel J. Bruston wished to tell other guys. And later on, he gave the reference number. So what does this say? If someone, say for example, if I want to know what actually Daniel J. Bruston had told, so I can just search for the reference number 2. I can click on that, and or either I can copy the whole content, the reference, and I can go for searching it on the internet so that I can get a better knowledge. So this helps you to prepare a proper notes for your students. Now, moving to the basic part, we all might be having a brief idea about what is plagiarism and what is copyright infringement. But still, I just wish to tell you that plagiarism is when you don't say from where you have taken it. Suppose if you take certain content, say for example, in this digital era, we are googling out each and everything. We want to take an image, we would simply go for searching it on internet. If I like it, I would be downloading it, I would be taking it into my own content, and later on I would be saying that this work is mine. Maybe it might be intentionally or unintentionally, but this happens. So during that time I am not saying from where I have taken it, so that is plagiarism. But what is copyright infringement? When you don't take it without permission, when you take it without permission, you don't seek the permission of the main author or the creator. So what does happen over here? If you're not taking the permission of the creator, you're violating his copyright claims. Suppose if the content is copyrighted, if that person is gaining certain money out of it, gaining certain profit out of it, and if you're taking the content without seeking his permission and making it available for free on your source, that obviously will lead to copyright infringement. And when you do both things, you don't say from where you took it, at the very same time you don't acknowledge the person, you don't take the person's permission before putting the content into your own work, that will lead to both, that is plagiarism as well as copyright infringement. So moving to the basic part, what is copyright infringement? Copyright infringement, as I told you, it is use of copyrighted work without permission from the copyright holder, thus infringing certain exclusive rights granted to him. Imagine a scenario where you're working with a firm, you're working with a industry, and your boss has told to do something. Your boss has told you to search out some data, he has told you to compile it, and you do all the hard work. You prepare notes, you compile the data, you do all the things, you search the internet and everything. And later on, before you just move to the boss and you just wish to show him all the content, someone else gets into your PC, he takes down the content and he shows it to the boss. So what will happen? Boss would be very surprised that this guy has done very nicely, he has taken all the pains. Maybe the person who has stolen the content, he might even get appraisal for that. But what would you think? A simple way of telling you, you would say that was my work. How come this person has taken it? But did you own the copyright over here? No, as of now you didn't. But if anyone else who has the copyrighted work, what he can do, he can sue the person. He can tell, okay, this guy, he has taken my work, I will let him pay for this. So this might happen if you are going to steal someone's content without his permission. The reason behind that is you are violating his copyrights. You are dividing him of certain rights that were bestowed upon him by the copyright claims that were actually given to him. What copyright says, all rights are mine. If I am the creator, all rights would be mine. If I want to give any content to you, it depends on me. What content I can give, how much I wish to give, and shall I give it for free or I need to go for gaining some money out of it. So all these things, they would be done by a copyright owner. And if you violate these things, if you don't take his permission, that would be termed as copyright infringement. So which all things come under copyright infringement? We would be just having a look at those. See, these are the examples of copyright infringement. The first one is you're downloading and sharing MP3 files, video games, etc. on your main sources on your internet, and you are saying that this content is mine. You are not acknowledging the sources. Obviously, downloading any MP3 files and making it available for free, or downloading the video games and making it available for free, would lead to copyright infringement. Next one, downloading licensed softwares. Now, see, many a times we do hear people say, do you have a cracked version of it? Any particular software. What is that cracked version? The cracked version basically is the pirated software, unauthorized software, the software that is not available for free, but someone is trying to take the basic content and making it available for free. Even that is termed as copyright infringement. Making a movie file or last segment of movie available for free, sitting in a movie theater, now copying the movie with your phone or just recording the movie with your phone and then making it available on certain sites for free does lead to copyright infringement. The basic example everyone might be knowing, torrent site. What happened with that? Torrent site, it actually had many new movies that were even in the theater. So that is basically called as a theater print. So these movies were available for free for the users to download them. There were many other reasons for which the new torrent was shut down, but copyright infringement was one of those. Then again, using corporate logos without permission of the main creator, placing full text articles on the course web pages that is available for free for all. Now, what happens if someone has done certain research and he has published it? Many a times, if other guy he gets to know about this, what he will do, he will try to download the content and he will make it available for free for everyone, so anyone can read it. So even that leads to copyright infringement. So all these things, even if you are going to download the images or you're going to scan the photographs and make them available for free on the sources, even that would be leading to copyright infringement. And now see, we are actually into this digital era. We are actually into working with YouTube. Now YouTube, it has reached around everyone's home. Everyone knows what is YouTube. Many of you even know how to upload a content on YouTube. But if by chance if someone infringes a copyright of a person who owns it on YouTube, what might happen? You just see these three cases. First thing, you need to pay the copyright owner for monetary damages. Whatever damages the copyright owner he has incurred because of you. Suppose your intention wasn't that you want to make money out of it. But what happened is someone he took the main content and he has uploaded considering that this work is mine and he has uploaded it on YouTube. What will happen? The person who owns the copyright for that particular content, he would search you down, he would make you pay for the whatever losses he has incurred because of you. The next one is takedown notice. The copyright owners, what they do is they would simply send a takedown notice to the YouTube stating that this work or this creation was mine and someone has violated it, and the person who has violated it is so this guy, and you need to take down the content of whatever video he has posted on YouTube. So obviously you will be getting a takedown notice. The video that you had posted would be removed. And then the last part is legal part. What court says is that if you infringe someone's copyright, you don't have the permission of using his content in future. So court would prohibit you from using his content or any other copyright owner's content in future. And how do we actually know what are copyright materials on Google or on search engines or on YouTube? See, whichever images and videos which we search on net are not always free. Many of them do have copyright claim. It is not mandatory for us to see that copyrights logo over there. Any images which do not have copyright logos or any videos which do not have copyright logos may also have copyright claims on it. So using any images or videos without prior permission of the owner may obviously lead to copyright infringement, isn't it? And how we can save our skin from this? So simple way is that any images or videos that are available on Creative Commons or public domain would help you to avoid copyright infringement. I would be telling you how we can search for those images and videos in these slides. Now, how we can search for images that are not copyrighted. First of all, you can go for searching the content on any search engine. I am using Google over here or Google Images for that instance. So first of all, I would go to Google. I would write down cyclone separator. Suppose if I wish to take the image of cyclone separator. So what you can see over here is that there are many images, okay, that are available for me as of now. But I don't know which images are copyright free. How do I search for it? The basic way or the best way to search it is, you can see over here, there is a tools option. You need to click on this. Once you click on this, what will happen is that there is another ribbon that has appeared now, and in this ribbon you can see that you have one drop down tab, that is usage rights. You need to click on this. Once you click on this, you can see that few options have come down. Now the first option is not filtered by license. Next one is labeled for reuse with modification. Third one is labeled for reuse. And then later on you are having label for non-commercial reuse with modification and label for non-commercial reuse. So what do all these indicate? See, the first one, what does it say? You can modify the content. If you are going to use a particular image, you can go for modifying it. So that would lead to label for reuse with modification images. So whichever images that you would be getting, that would be labeled for reuse, but you need to modify them. Simply labeled for reuse, that would be downloading and utilizing it in your works. Then if you want to go for commercialization, you need to find out whether these images are meant for commercial use. Then next one is labeled for non-commercial reuse with modification. See, there are certain rights that a particular owner or the creator reserves. So these rights basically help you to get the images, utilize the images, but only you need to keep in mind whatever rights the person holds for those images. So that is the benefit of Creative Commons. I will be discussing about Creative Commons in the later terms. So suppose now with these things, I thought that I must use a image that is labeled for reuse with modification. I can go for even commercializing it or anything if I wish. So what you can say is that the images have changed. Earlier you could see different images, now the images have changed. So these images are actually under Creative Commons. Now the best example that you can see over here of Creative Commons is Commons Wikimedia or Wikipedia. So these sources or these actually sites, these host the content that is available for free or that is available in public domain. So whatever images you can search over here, whatever images you can get out of these would help you to make your content much better and without violating anybody's copyrights. So this applies to images, but how about searching the content on YouTube, which is not copyrighted? So I'm going to tell you how you are going to do it. The first thing that you need to do, once you enter YouTube, you need to go to the search bar. You need to write down whatever you want to search. Say for example, I want to search cyclone separators video. So you can see as of now that there is a particular video over here of how cyclone separator works. Okay, so I need to search if this video is in Creative Commons or if this video is under particular licensing, if a particular copyright owner claims that this video is mine. So simply there is a filter option over here. You can see that there is a filter option. You can click on this filter option, and once you click, you can see that all these things have come up over here under features. Okay, under features you need to search for Creative Commons. Once you go over there, you need to click on it. Say for example, now I have clicked on Creative Commons. What will happen? The videos that are under Creative Commons would turn up. You can see that these videos are under Creative Commons. You can utilize them in your work, but only thing you need to find out under which licensing of Creative Commons do these come, so that you won't be violating that particular right of a particular person. See, the image that I had shown you or the video that I had shown you was this, how cyclone separator works. Once I apply the filters, what happened? The videos changed. Now you can see different videos over here. In this way, you can search for videos or contents that are not copyrighted. Now, as of now, we have understood that how we can search for the videos or images that are not copyrighted. But we must even know how do these people they get to know whether if you have taken the content, whether if you have utilized the content into your own work. So for that, there is a content ID that is given to the copyright creators, okay, or the copyright owners. Now see, a content ID is something that YouTube or any other search engines or any other video sources would be providing you. What is it? Copyright owners use a system called as content ID to easily identify and manage their content on YouTube. Now, any video that is uploaded on YouTube is either scanned against the database of files that have been submitted to YouTube by content owners. Now, what happens is, suppose if you are a creator, what would you be doing? You wish to upload a particular video on YouTube, and even you wish to claim a copyright for that. So what you need to do is you need to provide an audio source, an audio file, as well as the video file to YouTube, and these two they would be making a database. Now this database would actually be kept in a database library, and you would be given a content ID. So your audio file as well as your video file would be getting a content ID, and this whole content would be in a database library. Suppose now what happens is, if anyone tries to upload a video that contains a copyright protected material, say for example you have uploaded a particular content, you own a copyright for that, and if someone else tries to upload it under his name, or stating that this content is mine, so what will happen? The person who has uploaded the content, okay, the person who has taken the content from you without seeking your permission, would be getting a content ID claim. So what are these content ID claims? These content ID claims are issued by companies that own the video. Suppose if you are searching for an animated video and the company owns a particular video under copyright. So, and if you have uploaded that content, so what you would be getting, you would be getting a content ID claim on your videos. And depending on the copyright owner's policies, some content ID claims will prevent certain material from being available for free. So if you are going to upload such content, you would be in trouble. So what happens when you upload certain things without seeking the permission of the copyright owner? It solely depends on the copyright owner, how he is going to treat you. What would be happening? The first thing that would be, you would be getting a content ID claim on your videos, and then you would be getting a copyright strike. Now, what is this copyright strike? In YouTube Beta Studio, you would be getting a copyright strike, as well as you can see a different version of it. This is a classic view of copyright strike on YouTube. Getting a copyright strike on your uploaded video, what does it mean? That your video has been taken down from YouTube because the copyright owner has sent a complete and valid request to the YouTube to do so. See, suppose if a particular video has been uploaded without prior permission of a copyright owner, and that copyright owner, he was getting money out of it. There is a system called as AdSense. Okay, many of you might be well aware of it. So if a particular person is gaining certain money out of it, and you have taken the content without his permission, and later on you have uploaded it on YouTube without telling the others that this content was someone else's and I have uploaded it, what you are intentionally saying is that this content is mine. And as I told you that each and every copyrighted material on YouTube would be having a content ID. If you upload the same content on YouTube, YouTube will immediately search the database library, and they would find out that this content has been taken from a particular copyright owner. So they would be immediately contacting the copyright owner. So the copyright owner, he would be immediately getting to know that someone has tried to take your video and uploaded it as his. So the copyright owner, he actually has the all rights reserved to him. He can do whatever he wants. So if you receive 3 copyright strikes by chance, if your videos, if 3 of your videos get 3 copyright strikes, that is, if you have uploaded the content without seeking the permission, the first thing that will occur with you is your account would be subjected to termination. All your videos, okay, all your channels that were associated with your main account, that would be subjected to termination. That would be closed down. You won't be able to upload any content. All the videos that you had uploaded, they would be removed. And the next one, and the most important thing, you won't be able to create new channels. So these things do happen when you receive copyright strikes. Basically, at least 3 copyright strikes would be sufficient for getting all these things. But there is an exclusion for whatever you do. Suppose if you're preparing notes, you're preparing PowerPoints, you're preparing videos, you want to take content from a particular source. So there is a legal exclusion that is termed as fair use of copyrighted material. It is a legal exclusion to people who can take the content without permission of copyright owner. So what does this say? Fair use, it is the ability to use sources without seeking permission from copyright holder. It is not for free, okay, basically, but it is a legal exception to exclusive rights that a owner has for his works. It allows for a limited and reasonable use as long as the user doesn't interfere with owner's right. Say, for example, if a particular video has been uploaded by the copyright owner, and as I told you, copyright owner, he does have all the rights with him, and you wish to take a certain content from him, it is possible for you to take a particular content which the copyright owner decides to give you, okay, which the copyright owner basically decides to give you. If you wish to have that content, you can take it under fair use. It is solely dependent on the copyright owner what to give and what not. But the legal exclusion doesn't always grant you the permission to take whatever content you want. Now, which all things can be considered as fair use? The first one is fair dealing for the purpose of private use, including your own research, fair dealing for the purpose of criticism, review, and news reporting, making of your own educational resources. Say, for example, you are preparing your notes and all, with certain exclusions, then certain use by libraries and certain use for the purpose of public administration. All these things they come under fair use. But the main question remains how much? How much content can a particular person take from a copyright owner? How much will a copyright owner give? Will he allow to take all the content or will he keep certain things with him? So all these things can be determined by certain factors. Okay. The four factors that I'm going to discuss that would help you to understand which copyright content can be taken and how it can be taken. So we'll be discussing about these factors. First of all, let me tell you what are those. The factors that determine fair use would be purpose and character of use, nature of copyrighted work, the portion that you are using, and the effect of use on potential market. See, suppose if I'm going to discuss about purpose and character of use, what basically you intend to do with that copyright material or that particular content is very, very, very important. Suppose if you just want to use it for making your own resource, it won't help you. Suppose if you want to go for commercialization, that is again violating the copyright owner's claims because maybe he might be gaining money out of it. But suppose if you want to use it for making certain changes into your own work, say for example, you are taking particular content, transforming it into your own work, and then utilizing it, it can be considered as fair use. But again, how much content, that again depends on the copyright owner. Then next one is nature of copyrighted work. Whether if the work is published one, whether if it is factual one or it is fictitious one, all these things must be kept in mind. The first case, the purpose and character of use is very important. The next one, what does it state? If the work is being published or if it has been published, so there are chances that you can have certain content with the permission of copyright owner and he won't claim that copyright infringement has occurred. You can have a valid reason for that. But if the work hasn't been published, so there is very bleak chance that you can call it as a fair use. And if you have taken it, the basic reason for it is that the court, if it gets into legal proceedings, the court might ask you, how did you reach to that content? How did you take that content? From where did you get the idea of taking that content? So the nature of copyrighted work also plays a very important role in determining whether the use is fair or not. The portion used. Okay. Now this part tells you how much content you need to take or how much content you can take from a copyright owner. Now see, copyright owner, he can tell you to take a particular content or he can give you permission to take a particular content. But it always depends on the copyright owner. Suppose, for an example, many people do ask, how much portion of a video shall I take? See, for example, if the video is of 10 minutes and the other guy, what he replies, if it is for 10 minutes, you can take 3 minutes content out of it. It doesn't work like that. Basically, the copyright owner will tell you how much he wishes to give you. Out of 10 minutes, if he wants, he can give it of 3 minutes. or 1 minute or 1 second, or if he doesn't want to give you anything, you would say no, I don't want to give you anything. So you can't basically force him to give that content. So portion use, it works in this way. An example of Charlie Chaplin's movie, it is around of 70 minutes. Even 1 minute and 30 seconds portion can't be considered as fair use, because the person who owns the copyright would decide how much content he wishes to give a particular person. And the last thing, the first and last thing are very important, the effect of use on potential market. Suppose if you are taking a content from someone's copyrighted material, and if you're going to use it into your own works, so what happens is, if by chance the person is commercializing that work, and if you are making that work available for free, what you're doing, you're dividing that person of his own copyrights. Okay, whatever money he wants to get out of it, you're going to divide him of that. So that usually won't help you. If you're going to use the content, and if you're going to harm the market of that particular copyright owner, okay, whatever money he was going to get out of it, if you're going to harm that out, if by chance that causes loss to that person, that won't be termed as fair use, and the person has all the rights to claim a copyright infringement in that case. So these factors actually help you to determine how much content you can take. See, on a safer note, whatever content you want to take, it is always better to seek permission of the copyright owner. It is the best way how we can save our skin from this. If the copyright owner he wants to give it to you, you can take it. If it doesn't want to give, so it's of no use seeking permission for that. Okay, you're not going to get it anyways. So there are certain guidelines that a particular source has given over here. Okay, it is from Technology and Learning, and the source has been given. You can take the content, or you can download the PDF later on. What does this tell you? It is about copyright and fair use guidelines for teachers. So teachers are in dilemma how much content you must take. So what content can be taken, how much can be taken, which all images can be taken, maybe even if videos are there, how you can take them, what all things you can do with that work, and how these things would be considered as fair use are being given into this PDF. So I would just be keeping this slide for a moment. You can write down this source, you can download the PDF later on if you want. So this source will basically help the teachers who are going to make content, who are going to get the basic notes and all these things for your students. The basic idea for getting fair use content would be seeking the permission of the copyright owner. I'm telling you again and again about this. So moving to the next part, that is the most important part, that is Creative Commons. So basically what is Creative Commons? We need to understand. It is a public a source from where you can take all the content which is available for free. I will just start a video where you can understand what is Creative Commons over here. Okay, so moving to Creative Commons, as we saw that Creative Commons, it enables the user to get all the content that is available for free to utilize it in his use. So basically, Creative Commons is a non-profit organization that would enable the sharing and use of creativity and knowledge through free legal tools. What does it do? It gives a particular user certain exceptions, okay, to take the work and to utilize it. Now there is a difference between copyright and creative commons. What copyright says, it would be saying that all rights are reserved to me. If I wish to give anything to you, I can give it to you. But what creative commons says, some rights are reserved with me. Not all rights, some rights are reserved with me. The best example I would like to tell you, you all have searched content on Wikipedia, isn't it? Many of the content is under share alike. So what is share alike? Whatever content you upload on the sources or whatever content you are going to take from the sources, it must be shared under the same license that a particular creator has given. That is called as share alike license. You can modify the content, you can change the content, you can remix it, you can build upon your own work, you can make your own content out of it. But only thing, whatever you have done, apart from acknowledging the source, you need to go for sharing it under the same license, that is share alike. So such things would give a particular owner, that is the content owner. I am not going to say copyright owner from now. I would be saying a content owner. He would be getting certain rights to him that are reserved to him. So if you violate that, then again that would be leading to infringement. But if you are going to do what that person wishes you to do, say for example, share the content under the same license, okay, you are fine with sharing the content under the same license. You can even go for commercializing it. But the person who has created it wishes to share the content only under the same license. If you follow that, there is no harm. But if you are going to violate that, then you would be in trouble. So Creative Commons always says that some rights are reserved with you. Not all rights, but some rights would be reserved with the owner who has created the main content. So these are the platforms from where you can get the content that is available for free or that is either available in public domains. So these are the platforms. Now you can see over here, YouTube is there. Okay, Wikipedia is there. Wikimedia Commons is there. Again, you're going to have Flickrs. Then many other sources are there. OpenScout is there. So all these sources, what they do is they keep certain copyrighted material and certain material that is under Creative Commons. Not all the material that is available on these sources would be free. Say for example, I have just shown you how you can search for videos on YouTube. Not many videos would be free for taking it because copyright owners would be having a particular claim on it. But if you search properly, if you are going to search under Creative Commons, you will be getting certain videos and you can utilize them under your own work, isn't it? So Creative Commons platform basically include all these things. Now the main thing, how you are going to understand what Creative Commons are. So you can see certain images over here. You need to find out these images. What do these indicate? Okay, I would be telling you one by one. The first one is attribution by. Now, what does this indicate? If a person he has created certain content and if he wants to share it with public and he has applied this license, that is attribution by. For this person, only his name matters, nothing else. If you acknowledge him, only that is sufficient. Okay, so if you find out this image and it is like attribution by, only you need to acknowledge the source. And what all things you can do with it? First of all, you need to acknowledge the original source. You can go for modifying the content, you can distribute the content, you can publish the content, and you can even go for commercializing. So all these things can be done under this license, that is only attribution by. The next one is share alike. As I have just given a brief idea about share alike, let me just get into it. What you can do with this, you can go for remixing the content, you can go for modifying or building upon your own work with this license. But only the thing is that creation must be licensed under the same license, that is share alike. Whatever licensing that person has given, it must be licensed only under the same license, that is share alike. Next one is non-commercial. This is an attribution. You can remix the content, you can modify it, you can even create your own work using that content, but you can't go for commercializing that. Whatever content you have prepared, you can't go for commercializing the content. So that would come under non-commercial. The next one is no derivative works. So you're not allowed to modify that content. You're not allowed to adapt that content. You can't even go for remixing anything. So simply building upon your work is prohibited over here. Yeah, but you can distribute and publish the work as your own. Okay, you can even go for commercializing it. So these are the different attributions that can be applied while preparing a Creative Commons license. So I will be showing you different licensing. You can just see for these. The first one is Creative Commons attribution by. Okay, as I told you that this license, for this license only the name of the person is important. If you acknowledge the source, main source, that is enough for that person. The next one is attribution share alike. So what does this mean? That you need to acknowledge the source. You can modify the content, you can remix the content, you can build upon your own work. But only thing, you need to share it under the same license that the original creator has shared. Okay, you need to keep the license same. Next one is attribution non-commercial. You can do anything with the content that you are getting. You can modify it, you can build upon your work, you can utilize it into your own modes, anything. But only thing, you can't go for commercializing the content. If you violate that, then that would be termed as infringement. The next one is attribution non-commercial share alike. That is, you can't go for commercializing the content. No doubt you can go for modifying it, you can go for remixing it, you can go for building upon your own work, but you can't go for commercializing it. As well as you need to share the main content as it is. That is, you need to share the content under the same license. It is not like derivative work. You can go for changing it, but in non-derivative works you can't change it. Whatever content is present, you need to share it as it is. No changes are allowed in this case. And the last one is attribution non-commercial non-derivative works. So simply don't change the work, don't go for commercialization, and acknowledge the source. Okay, you can do anything else with that, but don't commercialize it and don't go for changing the work. So all these licenses can help you to find out a particular content that is reserved by the creative owners. Okay, now basically Creative Commons, as I told you, it would be all rights reserved. And copyright, it is, sorry, Creative Commons, it would be some right reserved, and copyright would be all rights reserved with me. So with this, I would be concluding my session. I hope you all might have enjoyed this. If you have any queries, this session is open for question and answer part. Okay. Okay, there is a question. Can can we use total material for fair use with the permission of creator? Okay, if the creator, he gives you all the permission for taking the content and for utilizing it into your own work, that can be termed as fair use, because you are having a permission of your creator who has created the main content. So that is quite acceptable, and you can use it under fair use. But if the permission is not given, so strictly it must not be used. The session is open for question and answers. So I would be very glad if you have any queries, and I would do my best to solve them. Okay. So I hope I have done my bit. I have tried to justify whatever I wish to tell you. If you have any queries, the WhatsApp group is open. Even you can post it over there. And the feedback form along with an assignment would be uploaded on YouTube under the same video. You can even go for watching this video n number of times if you wish. You can take down the notes, you can go for writing the answers, and once you do that, you would be getting a certificate. So I would just request everyone that, as we are having limitations of sending 100 certificates per day, I would be expecting that we won't be getting certificates in a single day. Okay, many of us will be getting certificates within 1 week, so kindly excuse me for that. try my level best to send your certificates at the earliest. So I would be uploading the link for the feedback as well as your questionnaires within a while. I hope that this session would be beneficial for you all. Thank you very much for attending this session. Thank you. So I would be ending this session.